The SA Gas Premier Rally will be the second visit to Sherwood Forest this year after June's Dukeries Rally, and conditions were once again muddy and slippery. Taking a look then at the historic section first, and it might not come as a surprise to see Matthew Robinson and Sam Collis leading the way. The pair out this weekend for some RAC rally practice. For Paul Street and Ian Jones, it will be second, a little way off the leaders, but themselves with a good advantage in that place. Barry Jordan and James Grattan-Smith make a good start to the event to lie in third, a place that also gives the pair the lead in the H1 class. It will be a place they'd have to share though, with fellow H1 class challengers Chris Skill and Glenn Hall, the pair ending stage 3 on identical times overall to lie in 4th place. And for Lee and Chris Armstrong, it will be 5th, just 17 seconds behind the battle in front and lying 3rd in the H3 class. Outside the top 5, it will be a further 8 seconds back to Lawrence Tyso and Craig Dolman, the pair leading the H2 class at this midway point. On to the Modern Cruise, and it will be an early lead for Rob Swan and Darren Garrett, the pair leading the event overall, and of course leading the way in Class 5 too, which dominates the top of our overall leaderboard. Aaron Newby and Rob Fagg make a return to gravel after wrapping up another Manx Championship victory this season. The pair lying second for now, 36 seconds off the lead. Event sponsors Carl and Guy Simmons take up third at this stage, just a single second behind Newby though after stage 3, so it was all to play for in the afternoon stages. Andy Fennick and Andrew Ruffhead lying 4th, 47 seconds back from Simmons, but that gap could have been a little closer had it not been for this stall on the second stage. And for Gary Wayne and Neil Bloor, it will be 5th place, the pair of course taking 5th in the class at this stage too. Unfortunately, we'd lose William and Stuart Moore in stage 2 when they break the suspension after a heavy impact, finally coming to rest in front of our cameras not far from the end of the stage. We'd also lose Harry Gardner and Elliot Graham in stage 2 when they break a shaft on the Subaru. In Class 4 there will be an early lead for Phil and Mick Gallagher, but with the top of the overall results dominated by Class 5, it will be 16th overall for the Class 4 leaders. Charles Wilson and Maurice Puck have the job of chasing down those class leaders, but for now it wasn't going to plan. They lie almost 2 minutes back in second. And for Dean Hickling and Jeff Moss, it will be 3rd, themselves a further minute back from Wilson ahead. Class 3 would be a little closer, with Mark Mazzitelli and Pete Butler taking the lead of that class after stage 3, the pair with a 26-second lead in the class and 12th overall. Gavin Ruler and Peter Grant have a good start to the day to lie in 2nd place. Their time on stage 1 was the only thing keeping them from being within seconds of the class leaders. And for John Coolidge and Stan Graham, it will be 3rd in the class, 19 seconds behind Ruler and just 45 seconds off the class lead. In Class 2, George Lepley and Howard Pridmore have a good start to take an early lead with an advantage of 26 seconds. Nigel Booley and Dave Cato lie in 2nd, fastest in the class on the opening stage, but the times dropped a little once Lepley found his pace. And for Ashley Field and John Stevens, it will be 3rd, the pair 51 seconds behind Booley and only 2 seconds ahead of 4th, so they'll need to watch out this afternoon. In Class 1, it will be the lead for Adam and Ian Tomlinson. The pair start the day well and take a small 7-second lead in the class. Chasing the leaders down was Stephen Gizzard and Kieran Bartlett, 2nd in the class at this stage and 21st on the leaderboard. And rounding out the podium places at this stage are Ian Holliday and Peter Shaw, themselves with a significant 2-minute deficit to 2nd place. So at the end of the morning stages, the results look like this. On to the afternoon stages then, and unfortunately the historic category sees us lose Lawrence Tyso and Craig Dolman with electrical problems on the Escort. We would unfortunately also lose Matthew Robinson and Sam Collis in stage 4. The pair retire from the lead, but will be back out the following weekend for the RAC Rally. So on to some of the finishers then, and in 5th place at the end of the event were Michael Thornton and Dave Scrimgrauer. The pair taking 3rd in the class, as well as finishing just 3 seconds off 4th overall. And in that 4th position were Philip Thompson and Fred Roberts, narrowly taking the overall place. And they also net themselves 1st in the H2 class. No change for Barry Jordan and James Grattan-Smith in the overall results, as they remain in 3rd. But they do get passed on the results to drop back down a little to 2nd in the H1 class. And taking advantage of that drop and moving up to take the lead themselves in that class are Chris Skill and Glenn Hall. The pair taking victory in the class, as well as a great 2nd overall. And the loss of Robinson means that it's a well-deserved victory for Paul Street and Ian Jones this weekend, taking victory by just less than a minute at the end of the rally. On to the Modern Cruise then, and in Class 1 it will be 3rd at the end of the rally for Ian Holliday and Peter Shaw. Stephen Gizzard and Kieran Bartlett end the event 2nd in the class, the pair not moving from that position all day. And just as they had done from this morning, Adam and Ian Tomlinson make it to the finish in the Class 1 lead to take the class victory this weekend. In Class 2, we'd unfortunately lose George Lepley and Howard Pridmore in stage 4 after a good run all morning. No change for Ashley Field and John Stevens. They still round out the top of the class at the end of the event to take the final step on the podium. Richard and David Evans step up the results to take 2nd in the class, a good climb up the order in the second half of today. And following on from the loss of Lepley from the class lead, it will be the victory for Nigel Booley and Dave Cato as they get to the end of the rally with over 2 minutes of a lead. Class 3 also takes a shake-up as we lose Mark Mazzitelli and Pete Butler from the class lead in stage 5. So that means a chance for Nick Kitching and Ben Clark to step up and take 3rd in the class at the end of the rally. For John College and Stan Graham, it will be a place gained as they move from 3rd up to 2nd, taking the runner-up place after the loss of this morning's leaders. And an even better result for Gavin Ruler and Peter Grant. They take advantage of the loss to move up and take the Class 3 victory by almost a minute and a half. Just 2 finishers in Class 4 as we lose Charles Wilson, so that means that Dean Hickling and Jeff Moss managed to get themselves 2nd in the class this weekend. But there was never any doubt about the class winners. Phil and Mick Gallagher leading the class all day and netting themselves a well-deserved class victory. In Class 5, and indeed the overall results, it will be 5th place for Gary Wayne and Neil Blur, finishing just over a minute back from 4th place. And in that 4th place, Andrew Fennick and Andrew Ruffhead, the pair having a pretty good weekend in a car that was still relatively new to them, so 4th was a good result this weekend. For event sponsors Carl and Guy Simmons, it will be 3rd, the pair in a great event-long battle with Aaron Newby, but they miss out on the place by just 1 second at the finish. So that means Aaron Newby and Rob Fagg just managed to get that 2nd place in the end. A great result for them. But victors this weekend, after leading from the start, were Rob Swan and Darren Garrett. The pair have a great run to finish the rally with just over a minute's lead after the day's 6 stages. So at the end of the Premier Rally, the results look like this. Stay tuned to Special Stage Extra. After the break, we've got more Junior Championship action from Blyton.